The 2025 movie year has come to a close, and there's a lot of films that came out this year. Superhero cinema was re energized with the colorful pep of films like Superman and Fantastic Four. Horror had fresh new meat, including a new icon with Aunt Gladys from Weapons. We even got some nice double dips this year with two films each from directors Richard Linklater, Osgood Perkins, and Steven Soderbergh. But now that it's the end of the year, it's time to sift through the hundreds of movies and pluck out the best. It wasn't easy, but here they are, my choices for the top 10 films of 2025. Number 10, The Long Walk. Now, as far as dystopian stories go, this one gutted me in a way that I did not expect. The progressive building of the world is beautifully exposed amid a walk to the death, where only one boy can win the prize money and a wish in a broken society. Those who fail to keep pace get a bullet, and every gunshot feels like a lightning bolt to the soul with the anticipation and explosion. The dialogue between the many boys is so rich and engaging that it hurts so hard when the inevitable hammer falls on them. The intensity was so high in this way that I couldn't look away. There is a firm thematic focus on the uneven power dynamics of capitalism and a level of violence that I never grew used to. I mean, just a brutal, unflinching movie that really struck hard. Number 9, It Was Just an Accident. Director Jafar Panahi's bitterly tense thriller, centering on trauma, revenge, and doubt, is furiously gripping. The former Iraqi political prisoner Vahid believes he has found the torturer with a peg leg who ruined his life. The only problem is that he's not entirely sure that he has the right man, forcing him to contact other tortured prisoners to remove all doubt about this identity. The cathartic journey of characters grappling with the chance to kill their torturer is loaded with uncertainty about identity and a deeper questioning of bloody vengeance. Number 8, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I don't think I've ever seen a film be so unnervingly anxiety-inducing that it put me on edge, and yet it still made me laugh at its audacity. Rose Byrne plays a mother with an absent husband and a daughter on a feeding tube, and everything goes wrong for her. The roof floods, forcing her into a motel. Her psychiatry job brings her unhinged patients. Her coworker, played by Conan O'Brien, offers her no comfort. Her whole life is a mess of anxiety that becomes so overpowering that she starts hallucinating some means of escape or blame. This is a nerve-wracking psychological horror that, through its grotesque, surreal nature, somehow manages to be funny. It's a deep, dark, morbid sense of humor, sure, but undoubtedly humorous, even if only for the catharsis. Now, I said I'd probably never watch this movie again, but in all honesty, I've still been thinking about this film a lot and how it got under my skin more than any horror film I've seen in the past few years. A film that rattles me that hard, it has to make my top 10 list. Number 7, Sentimental Value. Joachim Trier's film is a tragically beautiful, quiet, and heartfelt drama about a fractured family trying to understand their history through art. Stellan Skarsgård plays Gustav, a film-directing father who finds it hard to speak with his grown-up daughters after the death of his ex-wife. Renata Rinsve plays one of the daughters, who becomes more honest through her stage acting. Gustav finds a similar route of expression by directing a film about his family's legacy of suicide, roping in an actress played by Elle Fanning. This is a family with issues that become easier to deal with through art, leading to genuinely heartfelt and relatable moments of connection and comfort. The film features a fantastic cast and even an ease of comedy, as when Stellan Skarsgård gifts the most inappropriate cinephile films for a young boy's birthday party. Just that moment made me crack up, as well as a few others. There's just the ease of comedy amid the tragedy and the loneliness and the longing for this family to reconnect with each other was just so heartwarming in a way that wasn't melodramatic or corny at all. It felt very genuine, and that's why I love that film so much. Number 6, Marty Supreme. Once again, Josh Safdie manages to make something like Ping Pong into an intense motivator for a whirlwind movie that is just as chaotic and even more wildly offbeat than Uncut Gems. Timothée Chalamet may have delivered the performance of his career, melting into the egotistical mind of Marty Mauser, a guy with more ambition for being a ping pong champ than stability for anything else in his life. His running away from doubt, laced with an era-inappropriate soundtrack and furious scenes, makes this film a remarkable portrait of a sweaty loser oozing manufactured bravado in a never-ending quest for unquenchable power. The cast is also stacked with talent that only adds to the chaos, with Gwyneth Paltrow as a washed-up actress seeking sex, and Tyler the Creator as a hustling taxi driver, and Abel Ferreira as a criminal who will kill for his dog. It has all the fast-paced tornado of trouble that Josh Safdie crafted with Uncut Gems, but made all the more compelling for centering around a guy who is fucking around and knows full well that he won't reach the find out phase for a long time. And I get the feeling that some people might not like the film on that level, because unlike Uncut Gems, Marty doesn't really lose. Like, he's still a loser by the end of the film, but he hasn't quite reached that point where everything comes crashing down around him and his life just ends. Like, it seems like that's a few more years off, but you just know those years they're just gonna be painful. It's just gonna be him scurrying back and forth, trying to get money, trying to get to the next game, just struggling to, assert himself once more as a ping pong champ, and it's just eventually gonna blow up in his face. And I think that's what makes it's so much more compelling than Uncut Gems, is because that moment never arrives, but you know it's going to happen. And Marty definitely knows that he can't keep, running around like this forever. Number 5, Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro's love of horror is on full display in this dazzling dream project come to life. His vision of Frankenstein is colorful for the camera and layered enough to explore the depths of what it means to live and die. There is a wondrously dark and thoughtful approach in Victor Frankenstein's lust for defeating death and his creation's longing for that inevitable trait of being human. The production design is magnificent, the writing poetic, and the horror willing to be grotesque amid the decadent, where the theatrical score works well for scenes of sawing through bone. The final result is one of the most intoxicating adaptations of Mary Shelley's novel, and a masterpiece of horror from Guillermo del Toro's filmography. Like, I can't think of another monster movie that looks and feels like this much of a masterpiece. Number 4, Sinners. Now, Sinners is far more than just Ryan Coogler's Americana riff on From Dusk Till Dawn. It embodies a greater sensation of greed, faith, and community than the number of ways a vampire can be killed. Michael B. Jordan effortlessly plays two conspiring brothers with a lust for money and sex. Miles Caton is a real treat as a guitar-playing prodigy conflicted with desire. Jack O'Connell is perfectly sinister in his manipulative efforts to bring others into the vampire fold, which takes over the culture. Haley Steinfeld, Wunmi Masaku, and Jamie Lawson are all incredibly sexy and dominate their roles. And then there's Delroy Lindo, who is just devouring every scene that he has a moment in as this hard-drinking, hard-playing musician. So much time is spent building up a lyrical portrait of the internal struggles of the Southern setting that, when the supernatural monsters arrive, it's like a genre stew coming to a perfect boil. It's not every day that you see a period piece horror with musical segments ranging from stomping blues to Irish jigs. I love the hell out of this film. Number 3, One Battle After Another. Paul Thomas Anderson goes full Pynchon in this rebellious and ridiculous tale of revolution and the chaos that comes with what seems like a never-ending war. It's the type of film that can feature Leonardo DiCaprio as a burnt-out rebel and Benicio del Toro as a quirky sensei, so accustomed to immigration chaos that he can have a beer between his escape plans. Then you add in a viciously sexy rebel played by Tiana Taylor, a racist colonel played up with a tongue-in-cheek absurdity by Sean Penn, an intense display of youthful rage from Chase Infinity, and you have a film that is incredibly thrilling, always stylish, and unapologetically blunt in its perfectly poignant nature that hits every offbeat note with confident force. I did not expect a film this bold to be shown in IMAX, but there it was. A provocative and punchy picture that was not only reflective of the era, but vicious about the need to keep that fight going. Number 2, The Secret Agent. Just an unbelievably alive and unpredictable tale of how messy it can be to maneuver through a web of fascism and untangle it afterward. The direction by Kleber Filou, who previously directed the wonderfully bonkers Baccarat, which was one of my favorite films from many years ago, is anything but routine, as he takes this escape tale from 1970s authoritarian Brazil into the realm of the tense and even the absurd, throwing sharks and amputated legs into the mix, in which, the film briefly turns into a B-movie for one scene. Wagner Moura's performance is stellar as the targeted Armando, trying to avoid being imprisoned or assassinated by the government that has succeeded in murdering his wife. He always seems to have this look of anger and sadness as he walks a fine line of laying low and trying to slip away with his son. The Secret Agent is a movie that is punchingly poetic in how it finds just the right beats for a thriller about an authoritarian state, daring to strike some juxtapositions in soundtrack and tone that surprisingly work. And finally, my choice for the number 1 film of 2025 is Resurrection. Director B. Gone has crafted a masterful depiction of dreams and desires that no other film has captured with such mesmerizing beauty and humanistic allure. Taking place in a dismal future where people have sacrificed dreams for longevity, one of the few who can dream is granted a final dose of fulfillment through experiencing all of life through a cinematic anthology of many sensations that make us human. Through its many stories of different tones, genres, and even shooting styles, a wondrous sensation slowly enraptured me as it unfolded with so many fantastic shots and clever effects that always transfix and never get lost in the all-encompassing stories that cover everything from conversations with spirits to singing vampires. Be Gone swung for the fences with a film this ambitious, and this is definitely not going to be everybody's jam, but it absolutely was my kind of movie. Resurrection zoomed straight up my list for featuring one of the most reflective and haunting endings that just took me straight out of my body, questioning mortality and existence itself. It might sound corny to describe the film as being transcendent, but I can't lie. That's really what it felt like watching Resurrection. It has that same feeling I've had when I leave a theater and feel as though I've left the planet for a few hours. It is beautiful, thoughtful, and never bores for trying to cover so much ground about existence and dreams while still leaving plenty of mystery and wonder. And movies just don't get more spiritually or philosophically as meaty as this one, and that's why it ended up being my number 1 pick for the best movie of 2025. And before I end the video, let's bring up some honorable mentions. Weapons, a cleverly woven horror mystery told from different perspectives and with the most iconic horror character of the year, Aunt Gladys. Black Bag, Steven Soderbergh's super smart and super sexy spy thriller with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett being absolutely electrifying on screen. Friendship. Tim Robinson perfectly portrays the dark absurdities of men struggling to make connections and feel adequate in a way that is equal parts sympathetic and silly. Wake Up Dead Man, the most dramatic and thoughtful of Knives Out mystery movies, and proof that Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig can take this Detective Blanc into many more stories beyond mere satire. Broken Rage. Takeshi Kitano can still craft gritty and goofy films with this highly experimental film about a hitman told in 2 different tones. The Voice of Hind Rajab, a gut-wrenching recreation of the tragic death of a little girl in Gaza and the failure to rescue her, letting the real-life recordings tell her story. The Shrouds. David Cronenberg's body horror approach to grief works so well for the layered, frightening, and erotic tension placed on the conspiracy surrounding a high-tech cemetery. The Naked Gun. It's just funny. It takes the same mile-a-minute joke delivery of the original films and beefs them up with modern tropes and a perfectly tongue-in-cheek performance by Liam Neeson. And finally, Superman. I love me some Superman comics, and James Gunn delivered one of the best movie versions of the character since Richard Donner's original film. And there you have it, my choices for the top 10 films of 2025. Did I miss one? I mean, I probably did. It was really tough to make this list, so if you feel there was a film I left out, be sure to list it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more video essays and movie reviews that I do on this channel. And if you'd like to support me further, I have a Patreon which will give you early access to some of my videos and access to a few books that I'm writing on movie history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 2026.